your way down there.
So what came up from that exercise? Any questions about that? Wasn't it fun?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to do that with clients. And you want, I'm talking, just list one. I'll get into detail with them. I'll just do a little bit in list two just to teach them how to do it. In list three, hardly anything on there. But I'll take notes. And with just list one, I'll have a full, I wish I could bring you a page. Darn it, I should have done that. I mean, it is, I could do that tomorrow. I mean, I've got this thing full, and sometimes 2 pages worth. And I'll make copies. A copy, and I'll send it home with them. I'll say, put this in a Word doc and keep going. You know, and add on to it as you accomplish. Keep this forever and keep going. And sometimes they'll want to put it in a sheet protector or whatever, and put it in, put it somewhere you can just grab it easily. Remind yourself often. Right, Gabby?
I kind of say something, but I used to run small groups, women's groups, and that's one of the things we did at the end was we had a note, we put somebody's name, a person's name, we passed it around, and you had to write down something good about that person every single, and then at Christmas time, I put it in a Christmas card and sent it to some other group recently.
Excellent.
That's a nice little thing to do.
Yep. I did a personal development training where I was going up a huge mountain. I'll cut the story short. And I'm wearing a dark shirt like this. And I'm sweating. I'm drenched in sweat. And the whole thing is to push yourself and come find out, how you can do more than you thought you would, kind of thing. And on the way down, I didn't get any really big ahas about I was in great shape, probably the best shape of my life. And I'm like, yeah, this is strong, this is fun, cool. Push myself, and I get to the top. Everyone else is like, wow. Didn't know I could do that. And I'm just like, wow, that was tough, but cool. But where's my big aha? On the way down, it's hot, and it's easy going downhill. So my dark shirt like this is drying. And I got sweat, salt stains all over it. And as I'm walking down, I'm walking with one of one of the people who are in my group the whole week thing. And she goes, you know what's good about you, Craig? What? She goes, you have such a big heart. First time I ever heard that. I go, really? Wow. Kind of opened my eyes a little bit. We're walking down, and I got name tag right here. Name tag, right? That you wear in those things, big. And I go, wow, look at all the sweats. Oh, God, this is disgusting. I pull up my name tag. And I'm not kidding you, I have sweat stain in the shape of a heart right here. I got the shirt, I'll bring it for you tomorrow.
It's so cool.
And then I go, there's like these closing ceremonies, and we all sit across from each other, and we do that thing where we say something about the other person. You just download what you think. Because you've been with these people for 5 days, and you kind of got to know them in interventions and practicing like this. And 4 other people said, you have such a big heart. That was wild. So I just kind of own it now. It's cool. And it's where I go that's where I go now, if I ever feel this. So give your clients that. Do that for yourself. Definitely. Good. Anything else? Yes.
One of the things I liked is what he said about you don't have to make it up.
You said that was probably the powerful thing about
It
this.
was absolutely the most powerful
That you
thing.
don't have to make it up.
It's there.
Reality. You did it.
It's a lot easier to draw on your experiences than to make something up.
It's like almost too simple. But it's so perfect for what we're trying to accomplish here. Change some chemicals so we can accomplish something. And it's, right? Good.
And so often when we're talking about ourselves in a positive way, because culturally, I think we're taught to not stand out from the crowd, keep your head down, that kind of thing. As a tribal preservation.
Why do you think people say keep your head down, don't stand out from the crowd and all that? Why?
Fear,
Of?
failure, and success,
Success, attention.
embarrassment.
chemicals,
Rejection.
bottom line. Well, think about it.
I grew up that the worst thing was to be conceited. That, you know,
Yeah.
if you
Yes.
if you liked yourself, you were conceited.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that was
Yeah,
evil.
right.
That's right.
Oh, pride.
Very Catholic.
Pride
type
was
of-
very,
Yeah.
I mean, these are things that you find everywhere
Right.
Yeah.
in the
Selfish.
world
Selfish.
in a different way.
Self-centered.
So these are great points because they are taught to us. And clients have this in the back of their mind while you're
All
doing
been
this.
downloaded.
And we haven't really done any hardcore process work yet. This is beginning stuff, building their ego, teaching them they can be cool with their emotions, right? So what we need to be aware of that and keep that in mind. And know that where this came from. That it's not such a bad thing, except we take it and run with it and we go way too far with it. So, for instance, my young client this week, she was one of these people, doesn't want to stick out, quiet, doesn't want to, all these things we just got through telling her about. I said, listen, I'm not telling you to go out into the world and do a speech on the things on your list. I'm not telling you to go out and brag. I'm not telling you to be prideful. I'm not telling you to do any of those things. I'm telling you to tell yourself this stuff. You could be the same person you are right now. No difference to anyone else out there. Except this is how you're going to think about yourself from now on. See, they haven't made that connection. They think they're afraid that if I start doing that, I don't know where they get this idea. I go, you are in no danger of being considered conceitful or a bragger. None at all. I'll get exaggerative like that. Because the people who have this concern really are usually really timid. They're the most timid. And they use that as an excuse to not gather their resources, own them, and use them. Right? Recognize them. Good. Anything else?
Yeah, I noticed that it at the very beginning was difficult for me to say things about myself, but as kept going, it grew easier.
That's right. Good. Desensitization.
Yeah.
Yep. We're taught from this high, don't get your hopes up because they might get
Exactly.
dashed.
I remember those words.
Yeah.
Somebody saying.
And what is the dashed? Chemical. Thank you.
I just beat everybody else to it.
Nice job. That's right. So our parents are teaching us, don't have fun, excitement, and joy and passion and think great about yourself because you might experience one of these. And these are bad. They're not. They're good. We turn this around and it changes the whole picture of how you live your life, right? This is the core. This is the core. So let's move on to part 2, which is page 26, the advanced emotional mastery. I think you just turn the page and it's the next one. So there's my 7 steps to fully being an emotional master. Step 0. I made it 0 on purpose. I made it 0 on purpose because step 1 is when you're in an emotion. So 0 is before you feel any emotion, right? It's embrace all your emotions, kind of what we've been talking about in part 1. So I'll usually, if I'm going to do this second part, it'll be a whole nother session because it's too much to go into this, what we're doing now, after you've done this. So I'll kind of separate it out. Unless I got someone who's just really sharp and on board and kind of in personal development or in, in our realm and has done some of this work or whatever. So step 0, bring it all on, everything we've been talking about. There's some little quotes there that you can use. And by the way, these 2 sheets I just gave you, you print these out and give them to your clients. I give them to my clients. This is for you to give to your clients. You're certainly welcome to type it out and change it any way you want, but feel free to print these out and give them to your clients. That's fine. I've been passing these out for years.
Do you want it to be copyrighted?
If you want, you're welcome to put a little white thing over there and make it yours. I don't care.
Okay.
That just got printed with everything in the second part of this
Okay.
book
Okay.
as part of the
Yeah.
footnote. I don't have any problem.
Thank you.
Make it yours. You guys paid for this. I'm sharing it freely. If you want to say I learned this from the great Craig Sigl, be my guest.
We have to put the grade in.
Did anybody guess I'm a Leo here or anything? Yeah, I mentioned that. Huh? Always accused of that. All right. So step 0 is what we've already been talking about. Step 1, when you're in a difficult emotion, just be in it. And it's useful to identify the one or more emotions that you're in. Why? So you can figure out what's going on here. So you can do some work. Not necessary, useful. Okay? So I like to, with my clients, teach them what that self-talk might be like. So I'll go, so, Craig, you're angry right now. Guess I'm going to be angry for a little bit. Be angry. That's it. That's all step 1 is. You're not going to judge it. You're not going to go against it. You're not going to run for it. Just be in it. Step 2. Step 1's the easiest one. It gets harder. Step 2. This is where we observe ourselves being in it. You guys heard of the conscious observer? Right? It's a really powerful tool. And I'll spend a little bit of time on this exploring it. And what that means is you imagine you can take yourself outside of yourself and observe yourself being in the emotion. And you have some self-talk that goes along with it. It'll sound something like that. Wow, Craig, you're in anger right now. No judgment, just observing what you're going through. Wow, look at that. Your cheeks are turning red. Wow, your your legs are tightening up. Wow, your breath is shallow. Wow, wonder, that's interesting. Wonder how long that's going to last.
My heart's pounding.
Your heart is pounding. That's right. You're just observing. And it's really useful at this point to go into the body. This helps us keep straight what's going on here. This emotion is not some magical, mystical punishment from the ether. Some chemicals affecting body parts, right? That keeps us grounded into, is it just chemicals? Everything we learned earlier. This is not knives and mountain lions attacking us. No, just some chemicals hitting these body parts. That's what that. There's also some magic. If anybody's read anything from Eckhart Tolle, yeah, he talks a lot about the observer. This is really powerful. Now bringing it back down to earth, here's how I explain a cool way to use this outside of emotions. Anybody ever have trouble going to sleep at night? Because your head's spinning on stuff, what you should have done, wish you'd have done, need to do tomorrow, this week, whatever. Pretend and imagine, take yourself out of yourself, look at yourself in your bed, and just start talking about yourself. So the self-talk might sound like this. Wow, Craig, you're in the most comfortable bed you can imagine, in the richest place on the planet, in a climate-controlled room with a full belly, extremely comfortable, with food in the refrigerator, and your mind is spinning on things you can't even do anything about until tomorrow happens. That's interesting. And I keep the talk going over and over and over, and you end up boring yourself to sleep. Look at that, your feet are hanging out of the blankets. Look at that, the window's open and you can feel the air. Now, you can put a twist on this, which is really good for religious people. You can pretend like you're God talking about you. And that might be something like, oh, Craig, oh, my child, look at you. You're so cute down there in your little place in Kirkland. You're spinning on those funny little things about your clients tomorrow. Isn't that nice? I've got some amazing things coming up for you in the next weeks. I'm so proud of you. You're doing so great down there. You can do it like that. Just keep it going. This kind of talk. I promise you, you don't let yourself off of it. You'll just go conk. And it's kind of like the same thing here while you're in your difficult emotion. You're just taking yourself, something magical happens according to Tolle, when you take yourself out of yourself. Because another way I explain it to people, you know how you have some friends, or you have a friend who meets someone, and they're so excited about this person. Oh, this could be my soulmate. And you're looking at them together and you're going, 10 days tops. Know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
There's no way these two will last past the month. And you can see it crystal clearly, but they can't because they're in them. But you're outside of them, so you can see crystal clearly, right? You can pretend to do this for yourself. Take yourself outside of yourself. It's just a pretend game, but it works really powerful. And that's what the observer is all about. You use it in all areas, and not just in this emotional process, but anywhere. It's really fun. It's really cool. It's another thought control process. Cool? All right. Step 3 is the meat, the guts of all this. This is where we do the work that our unconscious mind wants by giving you that chemical in the first place. Okay? So remember, your unconscious mind is giving you the chemical because there's something going on with your life that you need to correct, if it's a difficult emotion. Right? So there's 3 things we need to do. Part A is we need to get all our learnings. We need to figure out what is going on. What happened to cause this emotion? What's the situation? This is where I really recommend, and I tell my clients, journal. Get a piece of paper, just write it all out. Whatever is going on about this situation. Okay? Because your unconscious mind wants you to learn from this situation so you don't repeat. Correct?
Exactly.
That's the point of getting a difficult emotion. It's a violation of your values. And you get the chemical to kick you in the butt and say, hello, your values have been stomped on, or you stomped on them yourself. So learn from this so you don't do it again. Right? So we write out as much as possible. Just write out, what could I learn about, well, let's do an example. Let's do a breakup. That's a good one because I deal with this all the time with the kids, and it applies to everybody. Okay? You just broke up. You feel horrible. You're experiencing loneliness and sadness and who knows what else. Maybe some guilt in there too, right? And maybe some inadequacy, bunch of them. So what do I need to learn about this? Well, the first thing I would do is have the client go to what caused the breakup. What was the event that caused the breakup? And let's say, well, he said this and she said that and I thought this and I thought that, or whatever, right? So what are some learnings we can get out of that? Well, we learned A, we don't match up with people who do that. Write that down. So we're not going to go, this is a basic, an easy one, right? So we learn what we don't want in relationships in the future. In every relationship we have, we find out someone doesn't match with our values, we go, oh, there's another thing I don't want, right? So that's a good learning for us. You might also learn some things about yourself, and hopefully that's the biggest point. You know, whenever I do X, people tend to respond this way. I have a pattern of doing that, you know? You're writing down anything that you regret, anything that you would do differently the next time, right? Anything you need to learn, bottom line, okay? Pretty simple. Just journal it out, anything that has anything to do with this that you can learn from, gather your thoughts around, and I really recommend getting out of your head and onto paper, because that helps with the process. Because what people normally do is just spin on it, and then they can't get sleep, and then you just keep generating the chemicals, and it's just a continuing process, and they look for a way out of it. Let me just jump off of this ship in some way, like drugs, alcohol, right? Something like that. Or let me just turn the whole system off so I don't ever have to feel them again. None of those work. Part B, the plan, the action we're going to take. And this is where we can pull from this list, the other sheet. What am I going to do about it? Now, sometimes you can't actually do something about it in that moment. So for instance, you know, the breakup. And you've determined that you're sad because you missed some things in that relationship, and you're lonely because you want to have an intimate relationship, whatever. Okay, you can't get that today. You can't, you just broke up, you're feeling horrible, it's 2 days later, you're struggling with work, your clients are struggling with living because it's such a horrible breakup and it's really affected them, right? So you're teaching them, what do I need to do about it? Well, you need to promise yourself, since you can't really go out and get a new intimate relationship overnight, you just promise yourself you're going to do that. You're going to replace the things you lost. And you can actually, just the promise by itself will help to answer what your unconscious mind wants. Now, eventually you're going to have to follow through, obviously. You can't just promise and never do anything. But in the moment that you're feeling that difficult emotion that came from the breakup or whatever, you're saying, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish feeling this emotion and work through it. On the coming days, as I feel better, I'm going to start going online and looking at the dating sites. I'm going to make sure and compliment people that I like. I'm going to work on myself and find out what it is that I need to do to be more attractive and not be so fearful, whatever. The plan. Okay? With sport, it will be something like, you had a horrible game. You just blew it. What do I need to learn? Well, I learned that move doesn't work very well at that time in the game. I learned that I need to eat better before I go, whatever. I need to practice harder on that fundamental. So the plan, what am I going to do about it, usually comes from your learnings. Okay, so I'm going to have a new drill to work on that fundamental that I'm missing. And I'm going to ask my coach, whatever it is, their opinion is that it can help me improve. The plan. And then you start working on it. Okay? Part C is the tricky part. It's not even that tricky. But this is where we have to come to a conclusion about the emotion. This is what people don't do. They stay in the big why. Why does this happen? Why me? Why is I always go through this? And it just keeps happening. Which is an endless loop.
Right.
Endless loop. We need to close the loops. Finish them. That's what the conclusion is all about. All right, so now, here's the cool thing about this. Clients ask me, so how do I know I got a good conclusion? Well, we'll go over some conclusions in a minute. Because any conclusion you come up with, you're always right. You can't do it wrong. Now you want to teach them, I'm going to help you. I just want to say that first before I do that. They're always right. Now, they're listening to me come up with good conclusions. You don't even know what a conclusion is yet, but I'll get there. But I want to make sure you understand, you got to give them the idea that they're always right, and because they're worried that they can't do this right, all this stuff. And they're going to come up with something wrong. So you preface everything that way. So I'm prefacing what a conclusion means is it's just a basic wrap up, tie up in a bow. For instance, breakup. A good conclusion might be, we don't have the same values. We are not a match, and I am still a great person. End. Right? Now here's the thing. Because you've allowed yourself to be in this emotion, number one, the whole way through, step one is be in the emotion. This is hypnosis. It is a golden opportunity to change. Conscious mind, unconscious mind. And I'll draw this on this thing for them. The whole goal of us working together, I'm telling my clients this, is for us to have a communication between these two. That's what I did in session 1, remember? Emotion, well, so normally the path is this way. Right? Us telling our unconscious mind what we want. Emotion is your unconscious mind communicating that way. Making sense? Anytime the unconscious mind is communicating through the chemicals, it's open to suggestion. Here's proof. Who here remembers 911? Yeah, exactly. I mean, what you were doing that day.
Yeah.
Right, pretty powerfully, right? Because it was a highly emotional day for all of us. And what was the dominant emotion that day? Fear. That's exactly right. Now, a conclusion that most of us came to, including me at the time, conclusions while we're in the emotion of fear, so the gateway's open, we're basically in hypnosis that day. What's the conclusions? The world is not safe. Air travel is not safe. I'm not safe. to go anywhere. And I just had a conversation with one of my clients. I said, so tell me, do you think air travel was safer the day before 911 or today? Which one? Well, today, because they got all these security measures and whatnot, right? Yeah. But your perception, the program here was that you were safer before. But that's not the real truth, is it? Today, the program now is it's not safe. Because the day of 911, you sent a message down that it's not safe, and the gateway was open. You hypnotized yourself into it not being safe anymore. So when you think about air travel, how do you feel? She goes, well, I still get like a little light jolt of, that's right. You get this? So emotion is a golden opportunity to change the response. That's why the conclusion is so powerful. Or it can be, if you take advantage of it. So what if, on 911, we all went around, you know what? Life is so precious. We are so fragile. Anything can happen to us any day. You know what? From now on, I am going to live life like there's no tomorrow. I'm going to live full out. I'm going to live full on, all up, full steam ahead, blah, blah, blah. You could make 911 the most powerful day of your life. Because you're in that fear. And that has a darn good chance of sinking in and being a huge part of your new program. Get that? Yes?
Well, the New Yorkers actually have done that.
A lot of them did.
They
That's
really,
right.
They're tough men. They really
That's right.
put it together and...
We have a choice.
Same thing after hurricanes.
That's right.
Yeah,
a lot.
same thing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Earthquakes.
So the trick here is while you're feeling the difficult emotion is to keep control of your thinking. That's the trick. And don't let your thinking be guided by your emotions. Keep your thinking, while the gateway is open, empowered. So that you can program in new responses. Make sense? Let me give you another example. I wanted to test all my theories here and what I've been preaching on myself to the nth degree on something I was afraid of. I went skydiving.
Ooh.
So I thought about skydiving and I went, fear reaction, right? Actually felt it. So let's practice the emotional mastery tricks on this. Okay, think of skydiving. Feel the fear. Fine, I'm going to be in fear right now. Cool. What's that like, Craig? Step 2. Well, you got tightness in your stomach. I can feel it right now. I'm tightening it up just from an old response. You know, whatever else is going on with my body. All right, step 3. What do I need to learn about this? Well, was I an insane, crazy man for deciding to go skydiving? No, I'm checking in with my learnings, right? I'm journaling out all this stuff. Anything I need to, what else do I need to learn about this? Well, you know, I'm going to go on the internet and learn everything about skydiving. And I start learning about that it's really is pretty safe. It's actually statistically safer than going out on a rainy day in Seattle. You're in more danger of getting killed on a freeway taking a regular trip to the grocery store. The only people who, for the most part, who get hurt in skydiving accidents are these pros who get lackadaisical, who've been on many, but it never happens with the tourists. They take double and triple precautions because someone else's life is at stake. They're much more careful when someone else is with them than they are just by themselves. You can imagine that, right? That's typical. And I learned all this. So I go, okay, I got this whole bunch of learnings about skydiving and what I need to learn about my decision to do skydiving. Cool. What am I going to do about it? Well, I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to listen to my instructor and do every single thing he says. Right? And I'm going to make sure and tell him I'm going to tip him afterwards.
Not before.
And I'm going to be really friendly to everybody who's taking me up 14,000 feet and going to drop me out into the air. And pretty much that's all I needed to tell myself. Right? And while I'm in that fear, part C, 3C, skydiving is safe. I'm saying it, I'm thinking it while I'm in the fear. Gateway's open. I did this, I don't know, 20, 30 times every time I thought of skydiving for 2 weeks before I went there. the day I went skydiving, it was gone. I did not have that reaction. I was like, let's do this. Woo! And I brought my friend, who is kind of like my test, my what do you call it? My control subject. She's ashen white. And when it's my turn, when it's our turn, you're strapped to somebody when you do tandem. As a tourist, if you don't want to do it the easy way, you don't want to learn about it, which I didn't care. He pushes me out to the edge, and I'm just like, let's do this. And he just, you don't have a choice. And you go out, and I just went, wow! I screamed as much as I could and wiggled, and I had dedicated, since I knew about this process, I dedicated that jump to releasing some old fear that I had. Why? Extreme emotion! Woo, there is nothing here, man. This thing is gone. Right? So I come up with a saying or a sentence that declares my releasing something and how I am instead of that old fear. And I'm thinking about it as I fall 14,000 feet, looking at, this is a surreal experience if you haven't done this. You are in an altered state. You are in more altered state in something like that than in hypnosis in our chair in the office. Right?
How long does it take to fall?
2 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's less than that.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think it's.
Maybe a minute and a half or something
So
like
how
that.
was the time distortion?
What's that?
I said, how was the time distortion?
Yeah, right.
You know what? It actually felt longer to me.
Yeah.
It felt longer to me.
I would
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was, yeah. But it was one of the most profound things I've ever done. And, oh my God, I mean, you guys would be shocked if you knew me 10 years ago compared to here now. I mean, I've done a ton of work on getting rid of my fears. This is my purpose in life, to help other people get rid of their fears. That's where this is all coming from. I think I just downloaded from God and the universe and wherever else to bring it and spread it out. And it's not that difficult. It's fairly easy to get this stuff. Just take advantage of your emotion, jump on it, and declare something, make a conclusion about it, and assume you're doing it. And I'm telling you, it will change the nervous system response. I used to be scared to death to talk in front of people, not 10 years ago. Yeah, pretty shocking, huh? There was a time, 12 years ago, 12 years? I don't know how long ago. Anyway, when I got divorced, and I'm in the dating world, I was married for 20 years. And somehow, by some mystical, magical force, I get some woman's phone number. I'm single for the first time. That was supposed to be a joke. Magical, mystical. Because I was scared to death to be in the dating world, right? And I'm not kidding you. I was like trying to dial her phone number going, I'm 41 years old or something like that. I'm feeling like I'm 15. Now, today it's like, give me a break. That's like another word. This stuff, the point I'm saying is, I tell these stories to all my clients and just because the key thing is to believe that you can change. And I give them all the logic and the tools and the stories. Get them to believe they can change. That's the hardest work we do. The interventions, they're the easy part. You don't even have to do them the way you were taught. Chicken wings, remember? Mm-hmm. This is the guts of it.
I'm jumping next month.
Nice!
I started probably a month ago. Well, it was a little more than a month ago because I turned 60 and I decided to do it. I was going to do it on my birthday. But other people have tried to join me, and so we have a date set up.
Make sure and dedicate something about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
It was already dedicated by the time that I
Yep.
when I made the decision, because it was like this 60-year-old birthday that, that there's so many age limitations sometimes
Right.
out there, and so I'm busting those out.
All right, good. Do y'all know about firewalking?
I've done that too.
A couple firewalkers, I did that too. Why do they do that? Why firewalk?
Because it
Yes.
changes your
To
perception.
prove that you can.
It proves the power of the mind.
Change.
Better than that.
Better than that.
It's better than that. When you're standing up there and watching people shovel hot coals from this bonfire, you see it with your eyes. It's like you are now in a trance. You are in an altered state because you're in disbelief that you're going to walk on it. Am I right?
Yes.
You're trying to reconcile this.
How am I going to do
How am I going to do this? You're trying to reconcile the reality of what your eyes are seeing with what you think you're going to do. Other people are doing it. You're in all kinds of transderivational search. And then they say, dedicate this to something you want to release. It's the same thing as what I just talked about skydiving. You're in an altered state. All change happens in an altered state. And then when you do it, it's it's surreal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the one that I did, they actually had quite a few different things that we did, breaking a brick or a piece of
Same
wood with our
thing.
hand.
Yeah.
We did a whole succession of different things before we ever firewalk to show how what we're thinking and what's reality are very, very different. And that if this is true, then could this be true? And could this be true?
Yep.
And therefore.
Breaks
and so
open all your
it
old
just opened up the
stuck-in
door.
beliefs.
Yeah, it's just opened up the door so that when we got out there for the coals, we were just like, bring it on. We walked through them.
So I often will tell my clients, I want you to take advantage of those natural times when you're in difficult emotions as your golden opportunity to make a program change at the unconscious level. That you don't have to wait for that. You can sign up to go skydiving or something like that, but you don't even have to do that. Right? So here's one thing I've recommended to my clients. It's so cool. Decide, skydiving is expensive, it's a big thing, and you have to be 18 and all health and all. Decide on a date. I'm going to do a ceremony for myself. And I did this once. I had a list of, I think it had to do with public speaking, actually. And I wrote down all the things about public speaking, all the fears and worries and all that BS stuff, right? And no, it was becoming a hypnotherapist. Yeah, that's what it was. It was moving into because that's a big jump. I get that. You know, going from 20 years in the corporate world, your paycheck every week to what do I know about changing people, right? But it's all just do it and see what happens. Anyway, I write on all this stuff and I say Tuesday, then 22nd, mark it on my calendar. I'm making a big ceremony out of this. So everybody's gone out of the house. And I wake up and at 10 o'clock, I start the ceremony. And I blast music, my favorite heavy metal headbanging music. And I stomp around the house yelling and screaming. I'm done. I'm doing this. This is who I am. I'm bringing up emotion to open this. I'm creating my own altered state. And at the end of it all, I take my thing and I crumple it up and I burn it and I bury it. And I'm fired
Your
up like
thing?
you can't believe. Huh?
Your thing?
My piece of paper with all the junk on it.
Oh, okay.
All the stuff I'm
You talked
releasing.
about that.
I'm sorry, yeah. I wrote down all the fears, worries, and concerns about
Okay.
taking this next step.
Okay.
And I just burn it. And but I'm really bringing the emotion. That's the key. I don't have to wait for it to happen. I can create this and create a hypnotic state. I think this is more powerful than doing self-hypnosis. And I've often recommended some of my clients who like to go hike. Go to the top of a mountain and just scream your head off your new things. And just fire yourself up when no one's around, you can hear, you don't have to worry about anything. However you want to do it. There's so many ways you can do it. I've taken some of my clients out of my office. I said, parents, stay here. Let's go. Take the client and we walk around the city block where my office is. And I get them all, there's all kinds of traffic, so we do lots of screaming and stuff that way. Seriously. I said, come on, man! Why do you want this? Why are you doing this? Well, because I need to. No! I get them all fired up and making some declarations that way. This is a really powerful way to do hypnosis. It is hypnosis just the same as us going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In fact, I think it's more powerful. So the next steps, we're going back to dealing with the difficult emotions. Step 3 turns off the spigot of chemicals, turns off the faucet. Because we've answered the phone call and said, oh, thanks for those chemicals, unconscious mind. Here's what I've learned, here's what I'm going to do, and here's the final resolution to it all. Remember I said stress is failure to resolve emotions? We have now resolved. We've tied it up, we've wrapped it up, and we made a statement of empowerment about ourselves while we're in this altered state. Okay? Now it's time to be done with the chemicals. Don't need the chemicals anymore, right? Let's be done. Let's go back to happy chemicals, because we got the message. So step 4 is to start to turn the tide, get some new chemicals running around in your body. And I say find relief thoughts. And this is where you think or say to yourself, well, at least. And it's useful to kind of tie it to what just happened, looking for the silver lining to the dark cloud. So, in the relationship breakup, right? Well, at least I found out now and didn't get married and waste 20 years wondering if whatever, right? Well, at least I still have my bank account intact. Well, at least I have 18 friends still who love me. Well, at least, you can go on and on and on. Just start well at leasting once you've done the solid. See, lots of people skip step 3 and go to these relief things, step 4, 5, and 6, which are fine to make you feel better, which is what they're designed for, but they're not answering the real reason. So we need to do step 3. That's what you need to get across to your client. So I'll spend more time on step 3 than anything. And I'll go over situations in their life, and I'll help them. What do you need to learn? What do you need to do? And what's the final conclusion? I'll do things like, tell me the last time you were angry. Tell me the last time you were sad. Let's go over the learnings. And we'll use this as an adjunct, as a support for the what we're going to do part. You see where that fits into what we're going to do? The action. Okay? And then step 5 and 6 are pretty simple. When we're in emotion, we tend to breathe shallowly and up high. I'll tell them to breathe low and deeper. Sound. This is underrated. And I'll explain it to them this way. How many people, when you feel bad for any reason, you can instantly feel a lot better when you just start talking to someone about it? Mm-hmm. What happens is, if you read some of those biology books, that the chemicals of emotion, they find their way. Let's say this is a cell and this is a receptor site. They find their way to the place where they go in the cell through vibration. So when you get sound in your body, and especially if it's your own sound, talking, this is why lots of people recognize the other person doesn't even have to give any solution, right? You can feel better just having someone listen. It's actually you talking, and with the perception that someone cares, but it's you talking that loosens this bond here, creates a new vibration. So these chemicals can go back to where they came from, where they're manufactured to be used again later. So even if there's nobody around, sing. Guess what? If you sing, you get breath and sound. Moan, any kind of your own. But I'm always recommending to kids who just put on your favorite music. Mm-hmm. Put on your favorite music at minimum. I had this baseball player who called me at 10 o'clock at night saying, Greg, I just tanked. I just totally choked. And we hadn't gone over this yet. And I gave him a quickie version of what I just taught you and said, go in your room. And I just gave him the conclusion and the learn. Instead of having him come up, I just said, here's what you need to learn, here's what you need to do, here's the final conclusion, you're still a great baseball pitcher, boom, now go in your room and listen to your favorite music. What is it? Heavy metal music. Great, go listen. You're good. He goes, next day, wow, you're right. And then we fleshed it all out. But breath moves things in our body, right? Those of you in the body work field, yes?
I was reading on some of your websites that certain music is not so good for you, or did I misunderstand that?
Good point. Music. So I'm kind of fascinated with how that affects us in our body. Anybody ever hear of Isaru Emoto and the Hidden Messages of Water?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is where it's kind of unscientific, but the kinds of music could have a negative effect on literally cellular tissues and your chemicals. Okay? That could be true. And I kind of buy into it. However, I don't think it supersedes what we want to accomplish here.
No.
You understand? I will much rather some kid who's 17 who loves heavy metal music and makes him feel good, and he's willing to sit for 20 minutes with heavy metal music and make himself feel good temporarily. I'm not going to judge him and start telling him, you know, make sure and go listen to hypnotic music, not your favorite heavy metal music, while he just tanked the baseball game. You understand? But generally speaking, there's a lot of study about wonderful music has a better effect on the body.
I think probably it's a matter of just what you said temporarily. It's because when something makes us feel good, then that's the key. And
Bingo.
then later on, as they evolve into another area of their evolution of growing, you can introduce those other
Bingo.
concepts.
Yep. Did y'all hear that? Yeah. That's a great way to put it. Thank you, Jackie. Did that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you know, we kind of have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of our choices. And what is our intent here? Our intent right now is to just be done with these chemicals. And something that makes you feel good, which means it's meaningful to you, that's going to create a really good vibration here. That's going to allow for some new chemicals to go into your, to latch onto your, you know, some feel-good chemicals to latch onto here and make the cells feel in a better state. Cool? Jackie, yeah.
I just appreciate what you just said about the, you know, the chemicals and the vibration, because I had never connected those two, and I so often have clients, and usually it's women clients, you know, because we as women usually can
Yep.
get a lot out of just talking
Right.
about it, you know, and so many of them will say to me right off the bat, you know, after the first session, it felt good even just to begin to talk to somebody, and you were really there listening.
Absolutely.
And so now I see,
Yep.
you know,
It's
it's more than just
physiological.
emoting. There's a
Yep.
there's a
Absolutely.
biochemical reason
Right.
that's happening.
So, you know, the core of this is if you can learn how to turn your state, change your chemicals, and do the work, step 3, that your unconscious mind wants for you, boom, that's it. That's the solid core of all of this. But you've got to start by not being afraid of them in the beginning. Allow yourself to go through it. And we're so programmed not to feel it, right? Yeah. So we've got to get over that. And it's a practice, and give yourself a break, and you tell your clients, I don't expect you to be perfect today. Start today, fake and pretend, work on it, have fun with it, be aware of your emotions. Yes.
So just kind of curious about the women and men. I know women guys talk a lot less than women. Okay. Do you see a difference in drawing out information from your female clients as opposed to male clients?
Yeah, absolutely.
You say go and they're gone.
I love, it's
Or-
much easier working with
I'm sorry, I
with
don't
women
mean to
and-
offend. I don't
No.
mean to offend.
That's the hardest thing for me, is having clients who don't speak much. That's the hardest thing to do.
But you have techniques to draw them out.
Well, you learned them earlier today. Ask a zillion questions and don't
Right.
quit asking. Yeah. I love it when I can just kick back and they just go, da, 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 I'm just right. It's easy. And every once in a while I just go, wait, time out. I gotta catch you on that. It's so fun. That's easy. I much prefer clients who just won't shut up and just keep going. Much easier. Let's interrupt them every once in a while. It's great. Good. Any other good questions like that?
Well, yeah, and what you're saying, people that talk and they have their story, and you know, there's some line of thinking, oh, get people out of their story. But I just read something recently, and it really hit home. It's like people's stories. You get so much information by allowing them to tell their story. You know, you understand how they think, they feel, what's going on, what their difficulties are, and all
Absolutely.
that by
That's what we do in
listening
that
to their
detailed
story.
personal
Yeah.
history, that
Yeah,
section.
yeah.
Absolutely. Just let them go. Yeah. Yep. Good. Yep. The final step here is reframing. So what I'll teach them, I'll say, what this means is, when you run this process, the 7-step process, on an event enough times, like me and my skydiving story, eventually when you think of the thing, there'll be no more juice of chemicals, right? So like when my mother died, for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I don't remember how long it was, instantly chemicals, feel bad, sad, right? I work the process, remember what sadness is all about? I honor what she meant to me, and I think about that, and I take action to go get that in my life in different ways. And eventually, as I think about her now, that's the trigger. Think about my mother, right? Or see a picture of my mother, or see a picture of, or see something of hers that's around me. That's the trigger. Now, once the emotion is gone, now it's so much easier to look at everything in a positive light. It's the emotion, the difficult emotion, that colors the whole thing, right? And causes your mind as a habit to follow that difficult emotion with negative feelings. With negative thoughts or destructive thoughts, right? So remember, the key is that you're going to hang on to the positive thinking while you're in the difficult emotion. That's how you're going to change the response to the thing that's causing the difficult emotion in the first place. So I'll say it this way. I'll say, if right after you, and we want to eventually get to a point where we can say, that was a good thing that happened to me. The most difficult thing. That's, the ultimate reframe, right? And we can reframe anything. And that's our job as therapists, is to give them that reframe perspective ultimately on everything. Because sometimes they have trouble with that. That's our job. And so, like my kid who tanked in the baseball game. He goes through the process a few times, maybe a couple weeks later, he's done with the emotion on that event. Now, when he thinks about that game, the conclusion has been pounded in. I'm still a great baseball pitcher, but better than that, he can now start adding in, well, I'm glad that happened because. That's the big reframe. And, what can we say? Glad that happened because I learned now at the age of 17 what not to do in crucial game situations. Throw low and inside to a guy who hits homers low and inside, or whatever. I just made that up. I learned that my thinking before that game is what led me to my poor performance. I learned that I didn't warm up very well before that game. I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm glad that happened then, and not, when I'm about to pitch in front of the scouts. I don't care what it is, even if it is in front of the scouts, and it's the worst thing in the world in your life. How are we going to? Anybody remember? How are we going to help them reframe?
Chunk up.
Chunk up. That's right. Go longer term or bigger picture to find something to relate what happened so they can reframe. So they can look at it as something that was good for me. Ultimately, we need to look at everything that's happened to us as good for us. Ultimately. That's what we want. Then we're not hiding and storing and bottling up and repressing a ton of emotions, which show up at the worst time in the worst place, right when you need to perform. Right? And turns into just this jumble of fear and stress, which people use terms like anxiety and worry and on and on and on. Make sense? Questions? That is a good question. I'm always asked about all these sub-emotions and where they fit. And I don't know. I don't think it's important to know. Okay? If you're not sure, these are like really broad categories. If you're experiencing humiliation, so what's the action? So it's not. This is just a guideline for the basic emotions. There's thousands of words for different emotions. Hundreds maybe. I don't know how
So in
many.
other words, you might get mad at it, or you might get sad at the same thing.
Humiliation can be a conglomeration of 3 or 4. It's different for everybody. But the point is not to try to fit it under here and say, oh, it's this, I need to do that.
But what?
You can just ignore this on ones that are not on this sheet and ask yourself, what was the situation that caused humiliation?
Embarrassment, that's...
Let's talk about a situation. Okay, I'll give you one, just to make it easy, that I hear all the time. I'm embarrassed because I struck out at the bottom of the 9th and let my whole team down. And that's a typical embarrassment and humiliation, right? And everybody's looking at you like you're the goat. You are the dregs of the team. You just let the whole, and everyone's, I've heard those stories plenty. So it's not really crucial to say, oh, it's this or this or this. That's fine. The point is, what's the action I'm going to take? Right? What would be the action? The action is, I'm going to double down on my practice. I'm going to double down on my mental work. I'm going to work the emotional mastery process that I just learned from Craig and Gabby in session here. And, first of all, before that, right, what are all the learnings that caused this humiliation? Right? What happened? What do I need to learn so I don't repeat this? What am I going to do? I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to get advice from my coach. I'm going to ask everybody for information so I can correct this thing, and I'm going to work the plan to correct it so it doesn't happen again. And then, final conclusion, I'm still a great baseball player. Why? Because I got these lists. This is the truth of me. Just because I struck out and lost a game, that doesn't mean squat. That doesn't mean I'm not motivated, don't have perseverance, don't have determination, don't have skills, don't have talent, don't have quickness, don't have agility, on and on and on and on. It doesn't mean any of that, does it?
Just means I missed the ball.
That's all it means. It means I did not put the ball on the bat one time. That's all it means.
Would this ever be a case for working on forgiveness of self? I mean, in that type of humility, could that work in there, or
That process, that's actually what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That's one of the first interventions we're going to talk about. We're going to, what I call it, the mistake maker. Certainly, when you experience something like that, you got embarrassment and the whole bit, your action could be, yes, I need to forgive myself as part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm going to teach you guys tomorrow a process and what you can teach your athletes and people to do for themselves as well. As part of the action they probably should take. Yes, I agree. Good question. Yep. That's big in sports, by the way, is clearing. Because sports is mistakes. They're all mistakes. You got to have a process to make mistakes, be cool, double down, come back, bounce back, and move forward. Mistakes are about teaching you how to improve. We all make mistakes, and we're supposed to make mistakes so we can learn certain things. For some reason, the Creator says you have to learn certain things by making mistakes. I don't make the rules, I just go with them. Good question, good comment. Anything else?
Whenever I hear mistakes, I always think of one of those director things that goes like this, and it's another take. Gotta go. Click,
I've heard of teams bringing a softball team bringing a toilet in their dugout. So every time they they go in there, they flush it down.
Nice.
There's no real water there, but they strike out. They go in there, get in there, flush it down the toilet. As a metaphor. Golfers. Here's a good one for golfers. Golf is a game of mistakes. There's actually a book called Golf is a Game of Mistakes, right? And in hypnosis, you can implant this. Every time you wash your ball, I don't know if you guys have seen, they have ball washers on courses. You take your ball, put in this little thing, and you go, and it cleans your ball. So if you can unconsciously implant it, every time you do that, you're cleaning your mistakes off.
Why do you clean the ball?
Because the ball hits the ground and it gets mud and stuff on it, and it doesn't fly as well.
Right.
It's dirty.
Sometimes it gets pine needles in it too.
Yeah.
Getting it
Like a
around.
ball.
Doesn't fly as fast.
I have one more thing, since I won't be here with the forgiveness thing. What if, in the course of, like, that may be an action to take around this emotion, these chemicals to get things moving, and someone would say, oh, I can't forgive myself. I mean, where do we go? I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of tomorrow's stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and we have a process to deal with that,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, just
Yeah, it would take a while to answer
Yeah,
that.
okay, that's okay.
Anything?
I'll ask somebody else.
You can ask me later.
Yeah.
I'll stay around later.
Yeah.
Let's finish this up.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Anything else about emotions, emotional mastery, the thought control techniques? It's all about this. Teach them. Be a teacher and a guide and a coach. And tell them they're doing the work. And give them the tools. And when they call and ask what you're getting the tools. You're getting the ability to do this for yourself. You're getting this, you're getting that. And when you're done with me, you're going to be so mentally tough, it's not even going to be funny. You're going to be so cool in your own skin. Nobody can touch you. And if you're not afraid of your emotions, nobody can touch you.
You'll
Really?
never be able to be a victim again.
Bingo! There's no victim. There's no fear goes away. Yeah. Oh, one last thing here. At the top of the emotional mastery sheet says it's an and world.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I learned that from you. I love it.
What that means, it's on the bottom of all my emails. In the moment. Okay, you can't really do this emotional mastery process while you're worried, scared, anxious, tense, at the moment of pressure for anything, right? There's not time to do this. You've got to perform. You tell yourself, I can feel this tension, this anxiety, and knock it out of the park. I can feel angry right now and do what I need to do to protect my family and the things I value. I can feel guilty right now and take the action I need to correct it. Start using the word and. We don't fight our emotions, we're going, this is the dance. It's an and world. We're dancing with the emotions, right? I teach all my athletes, and it. Just and everything. Just go with it. Emotions don't have to stop you. And actually, I learned that from a wonderful book called Overachievement. Anybody read that? You read that? This is a guy who writes about sports, and the whole premise there is that you don't have to be calm to be great at sports. You can be wired up, you can be... A good story I like to tell, and it's in the back of the book, is Annika Sorenstam. Anybody heard of her? She's one of the best golfers on the planet, or used to be when she was...
Who?
Annika Sorenstam. It's in the back of the book under stories. And anyway, she's a woman golfer, and she won everything in golf. You name it. In fact, she has more accomplishments than Tiger Woods on the men's. Isn't that interesting? Hardly anybody's heard of her, and she has more accomplishments than the men's side. Anyway, amazing athlete. So she was asked to perform or to play a tournament with the men one year,
Wow.
which is unheard of. Every tournament, sponsors get to invite somebody who may or may not have qualified. And so a sponsor picked her. And the men's golf world went crazy. Like, she doesn't belong out here, taking a man's spot who deserves it, blah, 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 right? Whole War of the Sexes thing broke out like Billie Jean King and what's his face in the 70s. So she said this was the most nervous she's ever been, by far. This is a woman who's performed on every stage in the world and come through with flying colors. You'd think she'd be a rock, right? And she said all these lights, the whole women's movement on her back, everybody cheering for her, hoping hoping she will suck and prove them all right. And she says she went up there and in interview, she says, most nervous I've been, and I just went with it. First tee, right down the middle, while shaking like a leaf, and played a decent game. She didn't win or anything, but she did great. Got all kinds of compliments from her playing partners. But the point of that story is you can be totally nervous and perform.
And.
Yeah. No
Yep.
buts.
No buts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Cool.
I love that. You taught me that, I don't know, a while ago, and I teach that to my clients all the time.
Yeah.
We're talking, and it's like, because it's inclusive.
Yes.
It's inclusive rather than putting up the stuff.
Well, you
on
notice
something.
that's the theme of this whole day.
Yeah.
Yay!
Inclusive. Connect. Go
Yeah.
with.
Yes, it is.
Don't fight. Don't run. Don't hide. Cool.